Anyway, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Talking Nagel this morning. Welcome to the day. It's raining out there, guys. Horrible.
Yeah,
Horrible.
well, May showers bring June flowers. I guess Mother Nature's got it mixed up.
Yeah, clearly. But we'll get there. We'll get there all.
She
Okay,
is
so
such a fickle woman. I'm telling you.
yeah.
One minute sun, next minute rain. Make up your mind, lady.
Well, one day last week we had every season in one day. You
Oh
know,
yeah, that's typical of spring. Yeah, cold, warm.
it went from streaming beautiful sunshine first thing in the morning to an hour and a half later it's snowing.
Yeah. Well, Old Man Winter don't like to give it up. He puts up a pretty good fight, but
Yeah, not that the snow
get it,
not
man. Summer's coming.
not that the snow actually landed because it touched the ground and just instantly melted, but
Yeah.
it's the mere fact that snow is falling. If you're driving on something when snow's falling, it's always more awkward to see, of course, right?
Well, I have a prediction. Before too long, everybody's going to complain it's too hot.
That's for sure. Yeah, that is the Canadian thing. We don't like winter, but yet we're a winter country, and we don't like summer, but yet we're most of Canada's further south than places like Britain.
Oh yeah, but it's the Gulf Stream. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
And Gary's saying it's cold outside, baby. Yeah,
yeah.
it's just wet outside. It's I don't think it's particularly cold. It's just wet. Normal for this time of year.
When it's wet, it's cold. Like if you go for a walk, like yesterday, I went for a walk. It was 12 degrees, right?
Yeah.
Right. So when you go for a walk when it's sunny out, when it's 12 degrees, you're taking off your coat. But if you go for a walk when it's wet out, like that, and rain coming down, then you're looking for gloves.
Yeah.
You're looking for a warmer coat.
Even though it's still 12 degrees.
Still 12 degrees. Yeah. It's just
it's a psychological thing.
Well, the sun will warm you up independently, of the air around you. You'll also get the heat radiate from the sun. But I'll bring out my physics calculus book and give you a good long lesson on it. But I'm sure you want to skip that part of today's show.
Physics calculus, yeah, but where does n squared come into this, Dave?
N spread?
N squared.
N squared? Well, yeah, that's forever. I don't know.
Yeah, you've always got to be careful of n squared, right?
Yeah, they always like to put that one in there.
Yeah.
It can't explain something. Here's the formula, and then throw in n squared. Well, that doesn't explain anything because that's in a variable. That's can't help you there, right?
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Yep. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, everybody. Yep.
Morning, Gary.
We got Betty, Gary, Mike on board at least this morning. So welcome, everybody. Love you all. Okay. So, Kiwanis Thorold, actually parenting with the Early Childhood Development Center. So
okay.
Partnering with the Early Childhood Development Center. Sorry, I put the partnering word up there and then can't read my own typing. Damn people.
Yes. Well, this article, I put it up there because I've known about this. Thorold had a Kiwanis club that folded 20 years ago, and they're reigniting it now.
Yeah.
And I've met a lot of them of all places, at the studio on McLeod Road. When I was doing bingo calling, they would come in. They came in a couple of different Sundays when I was calling, and just to see what they were doing. They're going to start to contribute to that and start getting the money. What had happened, because the old club had folded 20 years ago, St. Catherine's had took on a lot of their of their charities, and now Thorold can take care of their own again. Like we take care of, for instance, Welland takes care of Port Colborne, and we take care of Niagara takes care of Fort Erie. There's no Kiwanis clubs down there; they're kind of small. So we'll for the bingo money for Fort Erie, we take care of it. We give almost, in our particular case, the Boys and Girls Club needs lots of funding down there, so we give practically everything that Fort Erie makes from bingo. We give it right to the Fort Erie Boys and Girls Club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. So obviously, a new club comes into a town that doesn't have one, then it takes over the responsibility for that particular town.
Yeah. So now Thorold is taking over. Like we're in Niagara Falls, we have the Stamford Club, but that's because Stamford and Niagara Falls used to be different towns. Yeah. You know, Stamford was a different town, and the Niagara Falls Kiwanis Club that went back to the 30s, the early 30s, maybe even the late 20s, it folded, and that left the only Kiwanis club in Niagara Falls was the Stamford Club. Yeah. So that kind of confuses people. Well, where are you from? I'm talking to people. I'm from the Stamford Kiwanis Club, and they say, well, where are you from? And I says, right here in Niagara Falls. Well, why don't you call yourself Niagara Falls? Well, you had to go on that whole explanation.
Well, I think everybody who lives in Niagara Falls knows there used to be, or at least those who've been here for a while, and those who know something about the history of the falls, knows there used to be two townships close together, right?
I have to explain it all the time. There's so many new people in Niagara, they don't know.
Yeah, right? Yeah. The two townships joined at one point and united under the name of Niagara Falls, which is why one time they added 4,000 to the old Niagara Falls numbers.
Yeah, they at one time during the grid when they were remaking the grid for Niagara Falls. Also Chippewa too. Chippewa joined in 1970. It's a semi-autonomous area of Niagara Falls. Yeah. If it was any more independent, you'd have to pay a toll to get over the bridge in Chippewa.
Yeah. All right. So tell us about what they're doing with Kiwanis in Thorold.
Well, they're just picking up. They're starting afresh. Started to pay attention to the charitable areas there, and just reestablishing themselves, taking the money. See, right now, St. Catharines takes care of that area. Stamford Kiwanis, or St. Catharines Kiwanis takes care of that area. So Thorold will now return to take care of its own area and establish itself. So it has to do a review of what the community needs are, and is now working. They have what is called the ECCDC, which is Early Childhood Development. That is an important one for us, and I'm just bringing it up here on so you can get an idea. It's helping early learning, child care professionals, and things like that. We give a lot to that charitable organizations, inspiring excellence in early learning through thought leadership, cutting edge training, innovative resources, and coaching services, highlighting the best practices in emerging trends, etc. So that pretty much does that, and that's one of the charities we've all the different clubs around here support. So that's where they're going to start first. They already have an established trend with ECCDC. And
ECCDC takes kids from across the region, doesn't it?
Yeah, and every one of the regional clubs contribute to it. We do that yearly. If you see the ECCDC truck, you'll see Kiwanis painted on it, as Kiwanis symbol, to let you know that particular band is supported by the Kiwanis clubs plus plus. So that is that. So the Thorold Club is going to begin there because that's a well-established charity, and then going to study the needs of Thorold and take the money that they get from Kiwanis TV Bingo and put it to where they think this best serves the community.
Yeah. And I wish good luck to President Ken Sentence and Vice President-elect Karen Blackley and Vice President Kathleen Kelly, Secretary Jessica Bokinfuso, and Treasurer Gary Sheehan. Wish good luck to all of them and wish them well for their efforts in the coming months.
Yeah, Rick. A fellow by the name of Rick Westlake was the guy that reignited Thorold Kiwanis Club. So big hats off to him.
Yeah. Okay. So they're going to participate in TV Bingo with all
they've already come. Yeah, they already got a caller.
Wait, have you been fists up yet with them?
No, I've just been a mentor. I just kind of smile. They came and watched me do my thing a couple of times in the studio, and I could tell they were super impressed.
Well, I can see Ken Sentence wanting to go head for head because he's now going to be the choice of Kiwanis TV Bingo.
No, they have another guy. They have a lady. A lady's going to be the caller for their club. I forget her name. I was just talking to her not long ago at when they came to visit us at our club.
I thought it might be the president, the standing president might well be challenging you for the best looking caller on TV Bingo caller.
Oh, he would be destroyed. Right. It was like it's
but
like Muhammad Ali against a French fry.
But again, if it's a lady coming on, Dave Wheeler's got no chance at all.
Well, I'll just charm her.
No, she's always going to be better looking than you, Dave. It comes with the territory. Sorry,
yeah.
But you lose on that scale.
Well, you'll have to ask the ladies about that, man. You ask the ladies who is more handsome and charming, right? And between the two of us, that lady and me, I would universally get the thumbs up because there's no other guy involved. Of course, it's just me. I win by default.
I don't know about that, but anyway, I'm heads off to the new Thorold Kiwanis Club, and looks like they're doing well. All right.
Yeah, start off good, and one community, one child, and one community at a time. That's that's one of our directives. Basically, just get at it, start helping one kid and one community at a time. Okay. And it will grow.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So moving on. Oh, damn you. My thing's hung up and frozen. Moving on. Okay. So the Niagara Regional Police are warning against roofing scams that are happening. It's the same old, but now with roofs. Hey, I noticed up there on the roof that your shingles are falling apart. You need to actually have your roof inspected and roof repaired.
Yeah.
Try that on with me. Come on.
Hey, look, what they do is they wouldn't target you, or they wouldn't target me. What they do is they come up to a house and be some old lady that still lives there, or maybe even an old guy that maybe he's not or somebody new, a new Canadian or something. So they come on and they give you a huge deal on your roof. And then they get it, they start it off, and then all of a sudden they need more money. There's a big problem, all kinds of scams like that. They used to do that. They still, I don't know if they're still doing that with paving. They would come into a neighborhood and say, okay, we're in the neighborhood and we got extra asphalt. We'll give you a super deal on your driveway. They tried to pull that off on me once.
Oh, I've had a couple of them coming along, and actually when I was doing my driveway, one of them came along, and I said, "No, it's already under control. Thank you very much. Get lost. There's the exit street right down there. Just keep going."
Yeah. So they anyway, but they will find somebody vulnerable. They'll find an old lady or something like that. They'll get aggressive with them. What'll happen is they get a down payment and run away, or they start stripping the roof and say, "Oh my God, look at this." It's like the way they used to scam ladies at the mechanics places, like Walmart garage or whatever. Lady go in to get an oil change, and she come back and she got a $1,000 bill. What for? Oh, we found a lot of things we had to fix. And meanwhile, they didn't ask her to fix them. They just said they fixed them.
Yeah.
And then she'd say, all I wanted was my oil. Oh, well, we had to fix it. And we fixed it. Now you got to pay for it. And so they would scam people into do it like that. So there are a lot of, how would I say, not the most ethical people out there. And they have no way of targeting the vulnerable. Yeah. So if they come to your door and they start saying things, and they might sound very believable, at a point when they've already started the work, then they'll start getting aggressive, giving me more money, and you'll feel I have to now because the work's already started. They were going to fix my roof for $1,000, but now it's $10,000, and so be very aware. Always get a couple of different estimates. If you don't know who, if the company's called Fly By Night Roofers, you know not to stay.
And essentially, you should, it's true that this is the time of year you should actually go out, walk 100 meters from your house, just check whether all your roofing is still intact, because after the winter's over, you wouldn't necessarily notice during the winter when there's snow on the roof as to whether your roofing's all intact. I always check the roofing anyway. But you see, mine's different because I've got a metal roof up there.
Well, there are a lot of reputable roofers out there. So if somebody comes to your door, get an estimate, get a written itemized list. So if they say, "Oh, well, we can do this," they do it kind of like really quick kind of thing. Look, we're working down the street, we've got extra material. We noticed that you need some work here. And we'll give you a really good deal because we're in the neighborhood anyway, and we got extra materials. That kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't fall for it. Be very aware. And by the way, just so that everybody knows, door-to-door salesmanship is not legal in Ontario. Right?
Yeah, be very careful. Be careful. Anybody who comes to the door, even if they get nice name tags and everything that look like they're all legitimate and everything. And Randy West, LOO, just because they fixed it doesn't mean you ever have to pay for it. Yeah, basically that's another truth too.
He's right.
They say, well, they ran up.
Yeah. He's absolutely right.
Anyway, just always be careful. And look, I'm really calling out here for people who know their neighbors who may be vulnerable. So keep an eye out for that. You got some old lady like next door, or a new Canadian, or somebody who doesn't really understand things, and they'll have the aggressive salesperson, they'll have the sweet and charming one. They'll do anything to suck a person into this kind of thing. Remember,
those people are walking around with signs on their back, right?
Signs. They got identification lanyards.
A sign on their back to say, "Hey, I'm a potential sucker here," right? And remember, if you rent your place, if you're a renter, it's the landlord is the only person responsible for fixing it.
So if you're a renter, definitely you got to talk to my landlord. But the thing is, we all have to be our brothers and sisters keepers in a sense here. Because it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to you. but that lady living next door, or the old fella there who's a little bit too old, and he might be a little more gullible than he used to be. So keep an eye out for your neighbors.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Did you know the average rent fell by 5% in April? Wow, across Canada.
Yes, I do know, and you know why I know? Because I posted the article.
I know you know. Yeah. But I saw actually funny. I was looking at the same article when you posted this. Different.
Well, that's
different newspaper, but it's still the same basic thing. And apparently, those who follow these trends have noted that actually rental levels are falling back to levels seen 3 years ago. And April marked the 19th consecutive year-over-year decline. So as measured on 19 consecutive months, it's been a year-over-year decline in rents. And I've noticed that actually rents have fallen back now to reasonable level, starting to fall back to reasonable levels again.
I suppose you could call it a correction.
Yeah,
where they speak like that in the stock market, when prices go too high, and when they come back to a more reasonable level, or what is thought to be more in line with their true worth, that's usually called a correction.
Yeah.
Also if they go too low sometimes, then they'll come up high. So basically this is a correction because there's more stock now.
Well,
and when there is more stock and the demand, then the landlord's got to bring the prices down, and that seems to be what's happening here. But they're still not reasonable. Like, this sounds good, but they're still not reasonable. Like, they should be lower than they are right now. And the same as the housing stock. Well, we find that there are that housing is a whole lot less hot than it used to be. The sale of housing, and the houses are not being going up as fast as they used to be, but they're still going up a little at a time. But you can find better deals now if you search around, because housing stock's not flying off the market like it used to. It's more like back down to normal, or getting there. The correction is getting there. It's still too high for the average person in Niagara Falls, though, in my opinion.
Well, according to rentals.ca, they say the average price, and they're not talking about any particular type of housing, the average price for a rental unit is at 2,027, which is down 4.7% since April of last year. So, however, prices rose 0.9% month over month. So this is house prices rose 0.9% month over month, which is typically, I'd say, that kind of small, less than 1% rise in the in the price of housing is an acceptable amount.
Maybe, yeah. It all depends on inflation. It all depends on all kinds of different factors. When you're looking at people's, how much money they're making, if the average income for the average guy, if they get a 2% raise in salary over the space of their year, basically, then if the rents go up 2%, well, that's in line with inflation. The problem is, it was not in line with inflation years ago. It just spiked right up. All other commodities, cars, refrigerators, everything, raised in price according to the average amount, but the housing spiked way, way high. What is our comments now? There's Mike says, I read the city thinks $85,000 a year is geared to income. $85,000 is geared to income.
I think that's the rent
is $2,500 per month. That is ridiculous. Yeah, it still is, but that rent is coming down. Apparently, it's beginning to correct itself. But you're quite right; it's still too high.
So
and there is a trend people are going for smaller units. Obviously, look, those people who now can afford a place to rent, they're more likely going to rent a smaller place.
Yeah. Okay.
Than they
So
would normally.
rents for purpose-built apartments fell 3.7%. That was to an average of just over 2,000. Rents for condominium apartments dropped 5.6% for just below 2,100. And so the tendency right now is for average rents are down around about $100 from a year ago, and 7.4% lower than they were in 2024. So they are coming down. BC is seeing a 5.9% increase, Ontario 5.2%, and in Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, and Manitoba, they've gone up.
Yeah, it all depends on the local economy too. A lot of times.
Yeah,
and but the trends are coming down or coming more reasonable. The inflation of housing is beginning to match the inflation of everything else. If everything else goes up 2%, but what was happening, our houses were exploding. They were like 50, 60% more than they used to be. You know what I mean? And then and now they're sort of coming down, but it was a long time coming. And there was a lot of different factors in it. We had a lot of foreign money coming into the place. In a particular place like Niagara Falls, you had a huge rush of people going out of the GTA down here where they could buy a house for a lot less than they could in Toronto. They sold a house in Toronto and made a huge pile of money. They come down here. And so there was bidding wars and all of that kind of thing. So
mind you, here's another important statistic here, by the way, Dave. Average rents, and we're just talking about averages here, are 22% higher than they were than the lowest pandemic era rent recorded in April of 21. All right, so that yes, they are coming down, but they're still 21% higher than they were in 2021 on average.
Well, yeah, that's what I said. I said it's beginning to correct itself, but it really is too high yet.
Yeah.
And what is Betty saying here? What did Betty say?
Betty said you can afford
to eat what they use to have a home. Yeah, if you can't afford to eat, seriously. And Mike says, what does old age pension pay? Then compare that with rent cost, and you see the total failure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Betty says again, and threatening to take it from the seniors.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to have a growing amount of seniors, of course, because the baby boomers continue to get older and need a lot of space. They need places to live, and not all of them prepared well enough but who could compare for sudden jumps in cost of living like that, housing and renting properties. So it caught a lot of people off guard. Anyway, so the trends are going the right way, but they still haven't corrected themselves to a good place. And Mike says, have a great weekend. You too, Mike.
Yeah. Have a great and have a good day, Mike. Yeah. Yeah. And so there is correction going on. And essentially, remember, April 21 may be a pandemic era low, but pre-pandemic, they're probably higher than that was pre-pandemic, though.
Anyway, so to all the happy Mom's Day. Yeah, that's Mother's Day this weekend. So your mother's usually was the center of your house, the primary caregiver, the one that fed you, took care of you, put a bandage on the boo-boo, all that stuff. That's your mom. And she is, and any kid could tell you that mom is the center of the universe until you're about 5 years old. And then she's 3/4 the center of the universe from 5 to 10. and then you don't think you need her until you got a problem, and then you come running home at 18. Mom, I got to stand. I need this somebody to wash my clothes, et cetera, et cetera. So remember your mother. She is your primary parent.
Yeah.
And
okay. Okay. One other comment in relation to that. Lots of hugs. Remember, Dave does me. Dave does me 3.
Does me 3.
Okay. I'm not sure what that meant.
Anyway, here's a hug for you, Betty. I'll give you a hug, a virtual hug. Here you go.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Important news. They're looking at there's a $300 million deal where they're going to build the world's largest nuclear facility in Ontario here.
Yes, this you might think, oh wow, Ontario's going to have the largest nuclear power generator. You think that would be either somewhere in China or the United States, but no, it's going to be right here. But that's not so unusual because the largest coal generator until they got rid of Nanticoke Power Station. The Nanticoke Power Station was the largest coal-powered generator station in the world. It had the world's largest coal yard. So when you think of Ontario, normally you think of Ontario as more like less industrial than other places, but you forget how hugely industrial Ontario is.
Yeah.
Now we're going to need power, of course, and our base power is 50% of our base power is nuclear.
Yeah.
Nuclear is very important. Down here, we get lucky. If something happens to the nuclear generators like it did back in the early 2000s, it took a whole week for people to get power back in a lot of places of Ontario, but not down here. It was only hours, and that's because we're fed more by the hydroelectric grid here. But nuke is going to be the future. No matter how many people are worried about that, nuke is going to be the future. And that's going to be the stopgap power until we get fusion reactors. Right now, the Chinese and the Americans are working feverishly to try to find a fusion reactor. If they ever do figure out how to do it, our power needs will never be a need anymore. There'll be very inexpensive power once the facilities are built. But in the meantime, you're going to have this stopgap thing.
This
power is more important now than anything, power generation, because of the huge demand of AI. No industrial society will be able to survive unless they have viable AI. And the trouble with AI is it takes enormous amounts of power.
So IESO, the Crown Corporation responsible for our market, is basically saying that Bruce Power in Carden is actually
Kincardine.
Yeah, Kincardine. Now I just twisted it as I tried to pronounce it, and then tried to pronounce it correctly, and then got it wrong. So Bruce Power would lay the groundwork for the construction of the new facility. So this is going to be known as Bruce C.
Bruce C.
Yeah.
So basically, it's only like I looked at the price tag, $300 million, and I thought that's not a whole lot when it comes to nuclear facilities.
Not really.
Not a lot. So what does that tell you? That they already have a lot of the structure prepared and built for and have planned for expansions. So a lot of that's already been done. It's just a matter of putting the pieces together and adding this and that to it. Yeah. Now remember, we're also going to get into the small nuclear modules. That's very good, and Canada has all kinds of uranium. We have I think Saskatchewan's got the largest known reserves of uranium in the world. I mean, it shows up in other places around the world too, but we have an ample supply of it. So we've got energy, all kinds of sources of energy. We have, of course, the oil and gas, and of course, and the nuclear. So we're in good shape. No, the reason why, of course, the power is so important. Well, we have to. You cannot unlock your economic potential without power.
Yeah.
How are you going to dig a mine without power, without ample power? How are you going to build a road or do anything without ample power? How are you going to construct, invite another factory in here, maybe a car assembly plant, without the power? You can't. So you have to have power.
Yeah. And this is expected to be complete by 2030. That's quite quick.
That's very soon. Yeah.
Yeah. And this Bruce C facility, that proves to me that they already have a lot of the infrastructure already partially ready, is a proposed 4,800 megawatt nuclear generating station, which will cover enough electricity to power 4.8 million homes, or one AI server.
Yeah. Now we see what's happening, and when we go for the Kuzma negotiations, when we get the USMCA, the NAFTA by any other name, renegotiations that are coming up, one of the things that Canada has on its side is the fact that the United States does not have enough power. It needs a lot more power, particularly for its AI development. And that's why Trump has said that the AI facilities, they changed the tune on the AI facilities. They wanted more and more public power being built, but they've changed their mind on that, and they say anyone with significant AI generating services will have to build their own power plant. So it kind of makes sense. So you get a pipeline in there with natural gas and run your own electrical station just for the AI. So if you're going to build AI centers, you're going to have to build your own little power station too.
So it's a pity that Mike's gone, because here's my equation for you: 4.8 million homes, one AI server. 4.8 million homes, one AI server. I favor the one AI server, of course. Give it all to me.
Yeah. So anyway, so this basically, we all seem to be going in the right direction now. If you notice, there any other time you try to get nuclear gas or oil or anything like that approved, even though it made a whole lot of sense economically, there would always be massive amounts of resistance from environmentalists and this and that. What has happened now? You still have the environmentalists out there. You still have everybody still out there watching and being concerned about where that power is and how much it's going to pollute or nuclear waste. The problem, the difference now is that you have practical people looking at it. Yes, we're going to need the power. There's no way out. We're going to need the power. We're going to need the gas. We're going to need the oil. We're going to need the nuke. We can move towards different means of power later, but right now we need the power. And where are you going to get it? And if you want to unlock the economy of your province, it's all very well if you've got a job in the government somewhere and you say, oh, we don't need this or we don't need that, not in my backyard, but we do need all of that. Mm-hmm. We need something to unlock the potential of Ontario. And Ontario has an enormous potential, and that potential cannot be unlocked without adequate power. So I think we're moving in the right direction now. We have a much more mature attitude when it comes to power generation and all that. One of the first things they're going to do with this is meet up with the Indigenous people and see what they think of all of it and bring them into the conversation. That's always good.
Yeah.
So everybody's just much smarter now. And yeah, we're going to develop towards a greener future. But in the meantime, what do you do? Rick says Carney.
Rick is saying Carney sold it to China, and don't know there's any proof about that.
Sold what to China?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, so the Ontario still have the Ring of Fire. Yeah, so we have this Ring of Fire, It's all kinds of chromium is the one of the big ones, but it's got everything else too. All the kinds of minerals, rare earths, everything up there, and we're on the cusp of exploiting that. And we will be in Ontario will be in very, very good shape. Now, if I talked to the millwrights years ago, for years and years and years, the northern millwrights would come down here for work in the summertime, because even though they had mines and forestry and all that, there was so much resistance to developing, opening new mines and all this. The environmentalists had really put a damper on, slowed everything down there. I think it's because they didn't really understand that you can make a mine and reduce and minimize the amount of environmental damage, and you can have a pipeline that minimize that, and you're still going to need the power, and you're still going to need the wealth that that mine brings.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to need copper, you're going to need nickel, you're going to need chromium, you need all that stuff. You either buy it from someone, or you make it yourself if you got it, and then you make it, then you sell it, and that's what we're going to do. I hope.
Yeah,
much more practical approach.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so we do have to go back to Iran and the Strait of Hormuz as well. Iran is basically saying they're looking to impose new rules for the Straits of Hormuz because they believe they've made wartime gains here, and that their rules should be respected.
Well, if we are to believe the press, there is various attitudes in Iran right now. There could be friction between the army, the IRGC, and the ruling elites. So we don't really know. We may not, like I would say, we may not know that this is actually what they propose to do or not. Now, the Iranians have seen that their number one point of leverage is the Strait of Hormuz. The number two point of leverage is the missiles they have pointed at oil and gas facilities all around the Persian Gulf. So the United States now is sitting in a situation of how do we defeat them without causing a whole lot of damage to our allies and disrupting the world economy.
Yeah.
So each one, the United States and Iran, keep coming up with different solutions for the Straits of Hormuz. I think that both these nations want to get out of this as easy as they can, but Iran has found useful leverage in cutting off the Straits of Hormuz, and that's given them power, even though they are much weaker militarily than the United States and Israel. Particularly, the United States and Israel they're weaker than just Israel on its own, but they do have missiles, and they can shut down that strait, and that's so we want to see what kind of leverage they use. What it looks like now, it looks like they may come with a deal, and that deal is going to look a lot like the deal that Obama gave them years ago. It's going to be very, very similar, but they're going to sort of paint it like it's different. The Iranians are going to have sanctions removed from their oil, and they're going to be able to ship it anywhere they want. And in the meantime, they're going to have to guarantee the West that they aren't enriching uranium to a point, so that's almost exactly what the Obama deal.
That's the Obama deal, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 10 years ago's Obama deal, actually a little bit more, isn't it?
Well, Trump got out of it as soon as he got in. It was a disaster. Boy, like they really didn't. Most people don't understand that. It was one of the best deals I've ever seen in my life. Most imaginative deal I've ever seen when it came to that. You had China, Russia, Britain, France, and the United States, and I think China. They're all looking at none of them want Iran to have a nuclear bomb. They're all looking, and the agencies are there watching every molecule of uranium being refined, and of course the sanctions were removed for this. It was a great deal, and they were working to the point where Iran would have been a economic partner in the world where it would not want to disrupt the area, and because it were becoming wealthier all the time. And I don't know, Trump ruined that, and he's going to go right back to the same old thing, though. That's what it looks like right now. But anyway, anything to stop this. We are really at a particular point in all this war that you have to get it done with, because there are fertilizers, there are people who are very, very vulnerable. That the oil, the gas, and fertilizers have to come out of there. They have to, or you're going to have people dying.
I'm concerned about Africa right now because we haven't resolved that entire situation about what their need for fertilizer in Africa.
Yeah, they're going to need it huge. They're enormous. They're going to have to come up with a solution for that. And right now, and also you have to give Iran a chance to transition to a better government. Right now, you're not the change in leadership did not happen. So you're going to have to give them a chance to sort of go with the times, basically. Mm-hmm. I think that Iran could rejoin the family of nations, but it's going to take a while. And I think the people inside of Iran will make those changes, but it will be more gradual. You're not going to get a massive revolution.
You're not.
You're going to have a gradual change.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. So moving on. A dozen spotted lanterns were found in St. Catharines this March.
Yeah, they're dead.
I sent you this.
We've been warning for 2 years about this, haven't we? We bring up articles on this for the last 2 years. Every once in a while, watch out for the spotted lanternfly.
Yeah. And they're they're a lovely looking creature, but they're deadly because they are killing things that are things that are Canadian, and they're basically saying if you see them, you should squish them. Basically, they are white with black spots and red with black spots on their wings.
Yes, and the big problem is that they're going to wreck a lot of fruit trees, basically, and other things. What happens is they dig through the bark and they eat the sap of the tree, but this allows black mold to get into the tree and attack the tree. So they themselves don't do it, but what they have done to the tree allows black mold to get into the tree, and then the tree then suffers. So they can do a lot of damage, and particularly a lot of these invasive species do not. It takes sometimes generations before the birds and the frogs and everything realize that they can be eaten. Like a bird that normally would eat bugs might not eat that bug because it doesn't recognize it. It takes a few generations of birds to recognize that they can eat that bug, and in the meantime, the bugs take off. It's like, I don't know, you're disrupting. We're disrupting in nature quite a bit because we have this globalization going on, and I think one of the some of the lanternflies they brought up, they came in from the States actually, so they were an invasive species. They got into the States. Now they're worried about them coming up here.
The important thing is that what happened is Canadian Food Inspection Agency got hold of what had happened. Is there was an inspection, and these spotted lanternflies were found dead in an imported shipment of empty planting pots that had come from an infested area in the United States. They didn't specify where these planting pots came from, but the point being is that these were dead. And the trouble is with that is you don't know whether there's any larvae around and that kind of thing, eggs and larvae around.
Yeah, that could possibly be. They lay 50 eggs at a time. I think that
kind of thing.
The spotted lanternflies. So so you have to look for them.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just another thing. It's like purple loosestrife. It's like all kinds of other invasive carp, all these other invasive species. It's going to take a while. It's going to be very difficult to control them, but it takes concerted effort, and it's going to take resources to do that.
Yeah.
And I hope that we do have the resources to tackle that. But in the meantime, the more people that know about it, they can report. For instance, if you happen to be walking around and you see them, you can report it if you see them.
Yeah. Yeah. So just, and, the fact that this shipment came into St. Catharines, hopefully that's it, the end of it, and there's no issue about them, but they are a very dangerous species.
Yeah, they could wreak havoc.
Yeah.
But anyway, if we can stay on top of it, maybe we can minimize it.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. One comment in relation to that: how are they created? The way that all animals are, I would imagine. No, essentially, as I said, they came in with this shipment of pots, right? And pots are actually being reused all across the commercial farming industry anyway, right?
Well, they were on their way north anyway. They're migrating north.
Yeah.
In any case, so we were waiting for them to make the move, gradually move into Ontario. But of course, when you have products coming in from infested areas, that's another way in which they can make it into Ontario.
Yeah,
they're going to wreak some havoc in our agricultural areas. So.
Well, the whole issue
anyway,
about
basically there's nothing much more to be said about it except that we have to keep on top of that kind of thing, and these are the kind of things that our farmers and agriculturalists have to worry about all the time. Another invasive species and all that.
I wish you well, Rick, because the new government grant of 500,000, he's going out to find them. Yeah, good luck on that one, sir. Right. Okay. All right. Okay. That kind of. So just to wrap up all of this, so we talked about the candidates yesterday in Niagara Falls. I thought just in case we didn't get to the end of the show we had too few stories to the end of the show. I thought let's cover St. Catharines candidates. Anne-Marie Zammit is standing for mayor, and I believe the Zammit family is quite well known locally in St. Catharines as well. At the moment, that she's the only candidate for the mayorship. So at the moment, Matt Cisco hasn't stood again. Ward 1, Jacqueline Lindell is the candidate, the only candidate to have registered. In Ward 2, Matt Harris is standing, and I believe Matt Harris stood at the last election in Ward 2 as well. Ward 3 seems to be the ones that have got most. Alexander Miller, Sal Sorrento, Mark Stevens, and Kate Warnenberg. So Sal Sorrento and Mark Stevens are existing candidates, right? So they've already got seats currently in there. Ward 4, has got Grant Higson, Noah Machek, and Austin Scheinel. Not familiar with any of those names. Grantham Ward has got nobody standing to date. Port Dalhousie has got Constantino O'Reilly and Bruce Williamson standing. And they've got 0 school board trustees standing.
Yes. Well, we should add here that that I'm trying to get. Niagara municipal councils are shrinking. Strong mayors are coming. That's the other article I put up here. And they had a late night clash the other night, forcing through this bill in Parliament. Wayne Gates was bummed right out. He's getting a call late at night or at night, and he's got to go in and be part of the parliamentary procedure. So so the government pushed it through, Bill 100, what they call it, the necessary thing to get big things done. This is what's going to bring regional councilors back into the municipal fold. In other words, some of the regional councilors are going to have to return to the municipal level if they want to be elected, because there will be no room for them in the regional government. So we'll find like people like Joyce Morocco or something coming back and trying to get a seat at the table in the municipal elections coming up. They'll be running here instead of at the region, because the region is shrinking. And we have, of course, the appointed chair from the province, which nobody likes that much. Niagara Falls NDP MPP Wayne Gates blasted the government for rushing the legislation through under the cover of night. And this is what he says: "I found out that I was going to do this debate about an hour ago," said Gates on Tuesday. "I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's right. I think it's disgraceful. When we're supposed to be a democracy, I'm shocked at that." Yeah. And this was after reminding the legislator it was 10:55, 11 o'clock basically at night.
Yeah.
And of course, he was interrupted by hecklers telling him to go have a nap. And then he gets back and he says, I can work all night, buddy. He says, "I worked steady night shift for 20 years. That's not the issue. My issue is that I want people in my writing to watch this debate to see if they agree with what I'm saying or the government is saying, and they're not up this late. They have to work this morning." Yes, Doug is being very tricky here, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He called it through the night, so nobody, less and less of a reaction. Doug is an astute politician. I wouldn't say that he might be the most ethical guy sometimes, but he is an astute politician. And I would say that our fella Gates is quite correct here. You're working on situations that restrict the democracy of your regional governance. That's not good.
Yeah,
it could potentially be bad.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and there's no regional candidates at the moment.
Yeah, so it does not look good. But and of course, Gates reminded Niagara does not want to be governed from the Premier's palace. Do you remember what happened when you tried to pave over the Greenbelt? People stood up. They disagree with it. We're saying the same thing. We disagree with what you're doing here. And so that's a good point. People become aware of Dougie's promise not to pave the Greenbelt, but once he got in, he's going to hand it over to his lot of well-placed developers, let's put it that way. Yeah. But then he had to turn the corner on that one because he felt by not obliging that promise would be too detrimental to his political future. And Rick says, Henry D'Angelo, what? Mayor Thorold. Okay. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Paul show, he's kind of predicted that the regional, a lot of the regional politicians will now come back to the local municipalities if they want to continue in local politics.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Anything else to be covered for the weekend? I don't think so. I think we kind of come to the natural end of this.
Yep.
All
Well,
right.
we do have. I still bring up Gaza every time because that is long, long away from being solved at all, and that's going to be the linchpin here. The West Bank and Gaza. How much are the West going to permit Israel to do what they're doing, like the brutish behavior, the apartheid type behavior they are? They're trying to force Palestinians off the land. They're also trying to capture land in southern Lebanon, as we've seen. They've got a big hunk of Syria now. They are looking greedily across the Jordan River at the country of Jordan, and I don't know. They're getting away with way too much, and the power they have in the U.S. Congress and Senate is way too high. Some of that's reversing, but I don't know how much damage they're going to be able to do before the U.S. government finds itself again and stops obliging the outside power. I don't know what's going to happen there, but that's part of it. But the other more encouraging part is we might find a deal happening. Nobody won this. Well, just Iran got destroyed a lot, but none of what the United States and Israel wanted to happen, like regime change, complete stop of nuclear activity and all that. None of that will happen. But they will come up with some sort of deal to get things open, I guess. I hope they are. There's one of the other things that I would like to mention. There's lots of accusation of false flag operations. The Iranians usually say that they did not do this and did not do that. They claim every attack they've ever made. They claim every attack they ever made on the U.S. or Israel or anywhere else, but there are attacks being out there that they can't claim. Well, we didn't do that. We didn't do that. So there may be false flag operations going on that will try to interrupt the peace plans. Anyway, let's hope the peace goes through. Everybody can claim they're a winner. I don't care. Get the Straits of Hormuz open so the economy of the world can recover, because and I know that if it doesn't recover, it's going to be the poor people of the world who will suffer. They're the ones that are not going to get the medicine. They're the ones that are going to be less fed. They're the ones that are not going to have power for their houses or whatever.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are going to suffer.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Without further ado, I bid you adieu.
All right. Mm-hmm.